This year I want to dedicate especially Shiur in Bava Kama Daf Kuf Gimel Amud, based in the very, very bottom of the page. We are in the third line from the bottom of the page. Okay? And Kuf Gimel Amud Beis Shiur today is especially the Refuas, the two boys who did not yet recover from the Meron tragedy. So let's daven, and yesterday we said Tilim, and we're going to dedicate this year the Refuas Yosef Azriel ben Chaya Michal and Elazar ben Reuma from Yerushalayim. B'sorich Shor Chol Yisrael. This year is Lilun Nishmas of Imoyri Menachem ben Akiva Rus Bas Shalom Sol Bas Moshe. Sol Bas Moshe, your site is on Shabbos. Le Refuas Dvoiro Bas Rus and B'sorich Shor Chol Yisrael. Shmuel Avram ben Yudis. Rabi Tarfon. Before we continue, we have to do the Chazorah. You're holding the word Rabi Tarfon, which is 3 lines from bottom of the page. But we have to revise what we've been doing so far. What did we say? We have here in the Mishnah an opinion, not an opinion. The Mishnah seems to be saying unanimously that if a person stole from someone and he was nishba, and he nishba l'sheker, he swore, I didn't steal anything. Now he has to give him not just the original amount, the capital. He also has to give him chomesh, which is really a quarter. He has to give him a chomesh. And let's say the person went away to live in where? Where did he go to live? In Papua New Guinea. He went to live in Modai, okay, very far away. You have to take the next plane to Papua New Guinea, more like 3 planes probably. And you have to give him the pruta and the chomesh. Now, without going into all the details, we do see that there are very high standards of returning here, right? You have to return it to Bahuk or Bakruk, even if you spend a lot of money. We did have other options, but generally speaking, that's the requirement. Then the Gemara basically, confronted that Mishnah with a brisa. What did the brisa say? If a person stole from one of 5 people, and he doesn't know which one did he steal from, and they all claim, each one claims mine. Yeah, could be a very cute cartoon, but that could be also reality. The question is, does he have to give each one the 1,000 shekels that he stole, or does he say, listen, guys, I stole only 1,000. You go and deal with it amongst yourself. Go break your heads and break each other's bones, maybe, or go to BSD, as we said, maybe. So we said that's machlokes Rabi Tarfon and Rabi Akiva, right? Rabi Tarfon and Rabi Akiva. Rabi Tarfon says just go ahead, and the level of hashava is low, right? You just have to give the 1,000 shekels to BSD. We're not talking they're going to fist fight, but fight it over in BSD. But I don't have to make sure each one gets it because I don't have to spend more money than what I stole. Okay? And Rabbi Akiva said no. Rabbi Akiva said you do have to spend more money than you stole, even originally. Why? Because you only meskaper when you give each and every one, even though you have to spend more money, you have to get kapara only by giving each and every one and knowing 100% that you return to the right person. Yitzchak, I loved your words. The Mishnah, that brisa of Rabbi Akiva Rabi Tarfon did not differentiate between with shvua or without shvua. And there was a problem. Our Mishnah seems to be saying that if I didn't swear, then I do not have to go all the way to Modai. And if I did swear, then I do have to. Rabbi Akiva and Tarfon, none of them is matim. Nobody is good to be the kind of the Mishnah because they were not mechalik. They were both extreme, right? Rabbi Akiva says you always have to give each one, and Rabbi Tarfon says you never, and they ignore the idea of shvua. So the Gemara tried to say one answer, which I'm not repeating now. There will be too much of chazara. Yeah. The second answer, where we're holding now, there are really 3 potential answers. The second answer is as follows. Really, Yitzchak, really, Rabbi Tarfon says what? Rabbi Tarfon says, like you said, Rabbi Tarfon is the master of our Mishnah. Rabbi Tarfon meant to be saying that only when you have the shvua factor, your nishba l'sheker, only then Rabbi Tarfon meant to say you have to give to each and every one. Like our Mishnah, without shvua, you don't. A regular ganav does not have to go all 9 yards and take out much more money than actually stole. No, regular theft you don't have to. While Rabbi Akiva. Now, by the way, why did Rabbi Tarfon say it? There's a pasuk in the Torah. Nobody can argue with the Torah. I mean, many people try, but you can't. Says the Torah, "Lasher hu lo yitnenu b'yom shmosoi." Hu lo yitnenu, give to the specific guy to his own hands. Otherwise, you don't get kapara. You know for the shvua. Now, Rabbi Akiva was more machmir. Rabbi Akiva is not like the Tana of our Mishnah because Rabbi Akiva is more machmir. He says even without shvua, you have to give each and every one. Why? Knas. Bad boy. Because you're Ganev, Rabbanon consent, Rabbanon penalized the person who is a Ganev at the end of the day. And therefore, they're required he should give to the 5 people or run away to Madai even without Shavua. Rabbi Kiva is more machmir than our Mishnah. That's why Rabbi Kiva is not the Baal Mishnah. And Rabbi Tarfon is. Rabbi Tarfon says, like Yitzchok said, Rabbi Tarfon says, with Shavua and Sheker, you have to make sure. By the way, there are 2 applications. You have to either fly to Modai if he's very far away, fly to Hawaii, or if there are 5 people and you don't know which one, you'd have to give each and every one 1,000 shekels in order to make sure that you're 100% clean. Only with Shvua, without Shvua, you don't. Who is this Rab Tarfon? Ah, beautiful. Rab Tarfon, we are 3 lines from the bottom of the page. Michdi, at the end of the day, I just want to understand something before we continue. My Chavrusa called it, this is the whole noob of a Kama. Why? Up until now, we're playing cat and mouse games with who? A Ganev, right? Here we're talking about a guy who was a really good guy, became a good guy. He's a real Baal teshuva, and he wants to do teshuva and give the chomesh, and he admitted, and he actually wants, he's asking the rabbi with big tears in his eyes, Rabbi, I sinned. I now want to give back the chomesh. When will Hashem forgive me? When will I have kapara b'shmaya? Yeah, in order to get, when will I get kapara? Says the Rav, you have to go to Madai, or maybe you can go to a closest BSD, but Madai or its derivatives. Correct the Gemara. If since we're talking about Dinei Shamayim, I have a problem here. Rabi Tarfon, Michdi, surely, Hecha de Mishtaba, Loi Stagya de Loi Hoida, right? If we say that the person was Nishba, obviously, afterwards, he was Moide. The process here is very clear. 3 things he had to do in order to be in our Mishnah. In order to be in the story, to be in the show, he did 3 things. He stole, he was Nishba, the Sheker, and he lied, B'Shavua, oy, 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 red alert. And then he was Moide, he admitted, Frag the Gemara, aha, gotcha. Now we have a big question, Rabi Tarfon. My area, the Nishba, if you want to tell me that you have to go to Modai and do the best you can to be able to be Shamayim, even without Shvua, Afil Beloy Shvua Nami. I'll now show you that according to Rabi Tarfon, let's say a person, listen to this. Let's say skips the stage. He said to somebody, he didn't say, he stole, and then somebody asked him, did you steal? Did you steal? And then he says, yes, I admit I stole. Or even without being blamed, he came to him the other day and says, I'm so sorry, I stole your thing. The Yetzirah took better of me. Without Shvua. What would be then? What would be the person was moide without Shvua? What would be the halacha then? Listen to this. The Tanya. It says over there, moide Rabi Tarfon. Rabi Tarfon would agree with Rabbi Akiva, which is more machmir. Be'omer l'shnaim, a person told 2 people, Gozalti echad mikemone. He came to 2 people. They didn't even know about it. They didn't know what. And he came clean. He initiated. Nobody had to chase him. He initiated the process. And he said to them, the 2 people, I stole from one of you. Any days and became, I don't know which one of you I stole from. I'm really so sorry. So says Rabi Tarfon, you know what you have to do? Even Rabi Tarfon, wow, in this case says, you have to give each one a money. Why do you have to give each one a money? Even Rabi Tarfon that says you can just throw the money on the table and run away. Why does it say here that you have to give each and every one? 4 important words. Is moide mipi atzma, he admitted it. Says Rashi, and you have to see this Rashi. And this Rashi, if you get this Rashi, you get the entire sugan. If you don't, you don't. Says Rashi very easy. It's a whole different ball game. When did I'm stopping on purpose. When did Rabi Tarfon say put it on the table or give it to a trustworthy Bezdin or escrow account and run away to Acapulco when he stole from 5 people or 2 people? When is that? B'de'odom. When you want to play cat and mouse with Bezdin, you don't want to be yotzil v'dei shamayim. You want to do the letter of the law. The minimum. You chafifnik. You want to do the minimum? You do that. What do you do? Says Rabi Tarfon. If that's what you want to do, you're not mechuyev to give more than 1,000. That's meikar din, but the cold letter of the law. However, our guy over here is a tzaddik, real Baal Tshuva. He's a transformed man, big tears in his eyes. And what? He wants, this time I'm giving all these kitschy descriptions. What I'm trying to say is, lotzis b'dei shamayim. If you want to be good in the eyes of Hashem, you admitted. Nobody's chasing you. You want to do the best thing, ben adam lamakoim. Then you have to give each and every one. Says, continues Rashi, even though Beis Din cannot force him in case of doubt to give each and every suspect, so to speak, but you give them and you run away, Hashem in Shamayim would punish you, and you're not exempt from that. You have to give each and every one because you may have not given to the Baalim. You go to Olam Haba, you say, I'm okay because I just spent 1,000 and I gave 1,000 and I stole 1,000. Says Hashem to you, I'm so sorry, Mr. Bat Lamaisa, Bidei Shamayim, the guy didn't get his thing. So now listen to the question, back to the Gemara. So now the Gemara has a brilliant question. Excuse me, you're connecting the Mishnah to Rabi Tarfon, right? Our Mishnah said what? That he was Nishba and Hoida, and there's a Choimish, that's when you have to go up to Modai. Wrong. Since our Mishnah talks about the level of what? Of Yidei Shamayim. Bidei Shamayim, you'd have to run away all the way to Modai, chase him to Modai, chase him to Honolulu, even without the extra fifth of the Shvuah. Even if you just want to do the right thing from your own initiative, you want to be a good Jew and you care about the Olam Haba, even without Shvuah, you'd have to do it. So Mimela, the Mishnah is still not connected so well to Rabi Tarfon. Because our Mishnah headed the Rabi Tarfon would skip Shvuah, would erase the word Shvuah. Stam, Gonav, the Hoido, he wants to do the right thing, chase him to Madai. That's Rabi Tarfon. What did it say, Nishba? Ella, changing now everything third time over, but that's going to be the final answer. There are two ways to explain it. I'm explaining according to Rashi. Notice. Ella Omarove, Ella, we delete the previous teretz, and we now come to a third teretz. Again, what is our question? Without Shvuah, is enough for Rabi Tarfon to say, give it all the way to Madai, or give it to all 5 people. Exactly. Does Baldin? Yeah, no Knas here. I love that. It's not does Baldin use the 2 parter from Knas with the Me'edim? No, he's not. No. Yes and no. No, even without Shvuah, no. Even if there was no Shvuah, the mere fact that you come with real goodwill to return the Gzela, then Rabi Tarfon would also tell you to go to Modai, just like he told you to give it to 5 people. And therefore, Mimela, the Gemara says, why do you have to say Shvuah? Why did the Mishnah, even without the Shvuah in the Choimish? That's a problem. Shvuah is redundant. Elamai, the Mishnah is not in line with Rabi Tarfon. And for sure not with Rabbi Akiva. We forgot about him. Now forget, is it? Therefore, Rabbi gives us the third teretz. I just want to repeat, what's the question which we're trying to answer again and again and again for the third time? The question is as follows, as with half a line, Yitzchak said it, is what? The Mishnah says, with Shvuah, you have to go out of your way. Without Shvuah, if I'm just a regular Ganav, I'll give it to Beis Din, I'll stay home and give it to him the next time he comes to visit Eretz Yisrael. Okay, however, Rabi Tarfon and Rabbi Akiva, none of them seems to be going in the right direction. Rabbi Akiva is always mechav you to do more than the spend more time and more money than you can, so to speak, says Rabbi Akiva, with or without Shvuah. And Rabbi Tarfon says you never have to with or without Shvuah. Elo Amarove, comes Rav and answers, Shiny Masnisin, the Mishnah is different, and the Mishnah follows everyone's opinion. So first of all, the truth is, even in the question, we already have the answer embedded a little bit. We have 2 separate stories. With that, we have to start. The Mishnah spoke about Yidei Shamayim, Kaporo, Korban, Choimish. This is a guy who wants to do tshuva sincerely. That's the Mishnah guy. Rabbi Tarfon and Rabbi Akiva, what did they speak about? They spoke about something else. What did they talk about? They spoke about a person who was caught by Beis Din and he's doing his minimum. Beis Din told me to give back the Gneza. Okay. So this guy goes by the letter of the law. So says Rabbi Tarfon, that's what you want to do. Give to one guy and not to all 5. And Rabbi Akiva says you have to give to all 5. Still, the question is, even in the realm of Kapara, Rabbi Tarfon was not in line with the Mishnah. Now Rava answers. Shiny Masnisan, the Mishnah is different. The Kevin the Yoda Leman Gazle, in the Mishnah, he knows, the Ganav knows who he stole from. The Oidile, and he admitted to him. Now, as Mecharusa says, they're in good terms. Now, Be'etzem, the Nigzal who ran away to Thailand knows that the Gazlan is more than eager to give him the money. Kevin the Efshal Le'aduri Mamoino Lemori, since it's possible to give back the money to the owner, it's only $1,000 away. I'm not laughing. I mean, conceptually, everything is really there. We just need the technicality of giving it to the guy in Modai. Havile, it's considered as Keman de Omerle Yuli Beyodcho. It's considered as if the Nigzal, the victim, told the Gazlan, keep it by you as a Pikadon. Be my Shomer Chinam. He admitted, he got a phone call to Thailand, and the guy says, oh, listen, Mr. Thailand guy, I'm so sorry. I don't know if you know, but in the airport, in the lounge, I pickpocketed you 1,000 shekels from you. But I regret it, I admit. Can't you hear my tears, running down my cheeks? The Thailand guy says, okay, so next time I'll be in Eretz Yisrael, you'll be here. Right now, you're a Shomer Chinam for me. What? Ooh, Rak Rega Tavaka. Wait. 1 minute. Now we split it into two options. Wait. No, let's stop here. If there's no shvuah involved, ein achinami, right? Let's say there's no shvuah involved, then true. Then Rabi Tarfon would say, Hilkach, listen to this. Oh, there's another differentiation we have to make between 5 people and 1 person. Wait until the end. Hilkach, therefore. Nishba, let's say this goodwill only happened after Shvuah. You hear what I'm saying? There is also another story. He swore l'sheker, then he admitted. Once he admitted, he really sincerely wants to give it to him. If in Nishba, even though the guy who ran to Thailand, the Nigzal says, it's okay, that can stay by you, no. Very good, which means if there is no shvuah, let's say there's no shvuah, the guy admitted with big tears, I'm sorry, stole from you. No, nothing happened. Next time I happen to be in Eretz Yisrael, next time you know someone who goes to Thailand, give them the 1,000 shekels, do something beseder. However, if the whole goodwill story happened after the word shvuah, then the Torah interferes. Then the Torah butts in, so to speak, and the Torah says the person only has kapara because of the pasuk. It's almost the last pasuk in Vayikra, by the way, in Parshas Vayikra. Yeah. So then we say, no, you want to be Yoitzi B'dei Shemaim, and there was shvuah. Hashem interfere, and even though everybody is so goodwill and smiley cutie, they send each other WhatsApps with lots of smileys. Hashem says, I'm not smiling. Until what? Until because it was Shvuah Shekar, you had to really go to Moda, go to this and that street in Bangkok and give it to him, and until then nothing would be. Hi lo ishtaba, but if there was no Shvuah, let's say there was no Shvuah, just Gneva and admittance, I'm sorry, I stole from you. There's never false lie. Then no problem. Have a pikodoin, then it's a pikodoin. Then the guy, the Gazlan, it's deposited in his hands at the Asi V'Shakile until the Thailand guy would come one day, or his son, or his doctor, or somebody would come and give it to him. Wait a minute. How did that answer the question? Don't let me fool you. Lemaisa, all that is talking about when we have a clear address. When we have one clear address, which is we know who the people are, the people communicate, everything is in good terms, then unless Shvuah is in the story, then you can keep it in your house. Excuse me, Rabbi Taichtal, you're pulling the wool over our eyes. Didn't Rabbi Tarfon just say that if I would have goodwill even without Shvuah, and there are 5 people that I don't know who I stole from, then I have to give each and every one? So Rabbi Tarfon seems to have high standard even without Shvuah, that you have to make sure and spend tons of money. The answer is very simple, and we actually spoke about it yesterday. Madai story, the end of the world story, and the story of the 5 people are not the same. Why? When I have Reuven, Shimon, Levi, Yehuda, and Zalman, all 5 people in front of me, and I have no idea who I stole from, and they are either lying or confused, if I gave it to one guy or I threw the money and said, bye, then what? I did not give it to the nigzal at all. It's not even nifkat by me. I can't keep it by me. I can't put it on the table because at the end of the day, good chances are that the nigzal will never ever get it because we don't know who he is. Get it? Then Rabi Tarfon said, "You want to be yoytzi b'dei shamayim? You have to give each and every one." But the case of the guy who ran away to Madai, then no. Since I know who he is and I want to give it to him and he wants to get it, it's just a technicality of how it's going to get to his hands. Then even Rabi Tarfon would agree that if not for Shvua, it would be enough to just keep it in my hands until it comes one time to Eretz Yisrael. And another factor, when do I have to run away and chase him all the way to Madai? When there was Shvua. Because when there was Shvua, then HaKadosh Baruch Hu interferes and it says you have to run away and give it to him regardless of anything. That's it. Very good. So now the Mishnah came out to be very good with who? With both Rabbi Kiva and Rabi Tarfon, actually. Why? I'll just summarize. Let's summarize. It was a difficult sugya. Let's summarize. If there's a person who stole from someone and there was shvua, to be yotzi b'dei shamayim after shvua sheker, you have to go all the way. You did something very severe. You have to spend more money. Lekula alma. Both Rabi Tarfon and Rabbi Kiva would say, we're not playing your cat and mouse, and you're asking, sometimes people ask the Rav, what's the minimum? There are two questions, two types of questions asked to the Rav. What's al chatchila? How should be more mahudar? And how am I yoytze? I hate matzah, let's say, how am I yoytze the minimum? These are the two, that's the answer to the questions here. The guy in the Mishnah is the guy who wants to be yoytze the yichoy b'bidei shamayim. He wants to do the right thing. Want to get kapara, you have to make sure it gets all the way to the hands of the guy in Thailand, Bahuk or Bakru. That's Bigadol, without going now to the Konas BSD. The guy of Rabbi Kiva and Rabbi Tarfon, that's a different guy. That's a guy who wants to do the minimum. And then Rabbi Kiva says, he wants to do the minimum. Even to do the minimum, you have to give each and every person the 5 things, also because you don't know who they are. And Rabbi Tarfon says, want to do the minimum, throw 1,000 and run away. I'm not saying it's a good thing to do, but me'ikra din, we can't force you to spend more money. But if you want to do bidei shamayim, everyone would agree that bidei shamayim, you have to give each and every one of the 5 people 1,000 shekels. Why? Because there, even without shvua, because there you don't know who the guy is. There's no beginning of a shava. Very good. Says the Gemara. Itmar, all this you can continue, review today. You have Lag BaOmer holiday. Watch me online. Yeah. Why? What? They're lying that they claim it. So what can you do to them? Make them take a shvua? No, hipuch shvua we say very rarely. Shvua is only when you want to be saved from something, not when you claim. And also, you know that somebody's lying. When you know that someone's lying, you don't make shvua. It's not so simple to mechayev shvua if you know that there's a lie here. That's the beginning of Matzia. No, it's not so simple. You don't make the 4 people. I'm answering you off the cuff. Maybe there are better answers. I do know from a little general knowledge that you don't make a shvua. You only make a person be nishba if the good chances is right. That's like an extra safety. If you have 5 people and all of them will be nishba, then by person number 2, you know that someone here lied. Bishvua. So you as based in your you don't want to be machti the person. Yeah, as it says in the Bible. No, not bishvua. Not bishvua. So the onus is on him to return one or the other. They're lying, but for me as a dayan to make them nishbal sheker, Rahman Islan. Itma, more on our lo yitin lo libnor v'lo l'shluchoi. With the 2 dots, and now we are focusing another part of the Mishnah that says, don't give it to his son or his shliach. So what does that mean? The pashtus means, let's say the guy who ran away, the guy who now moved to where? He moved to Modai. His son is in Eretz Yisrael. Can I give it to his son and say, sonny boy, take the money, take the 1,000 shekels, give it to your father, and you're not my shomer. Baruch Rins made a good point. When you said, if he's a shomer socher, that may be different. But let's say I tell a guy, can you do me a favor? You're not a shomer chinam, such a sweet guy. Take 1,000 shekels with you. In the airport, they don't mind 1,000 shekels, the tax authorities, and give it to the nigzal, and I want to feel clean. He may be okay, but the second that the 1,000 shekels came to his hands, you're not yet clean. You're not. Why? Because maybe it's going to get lost on the way. He be the real shliach. Shliach means what? Once it reached the hands of the shliach, I'm out of the story. He's not the long arm of his father who lives now in Thailand. And therefore, it's just a technical thing, like a goyish shliach, not a halachic shliach. Then, if he got lost on the way, then I'm still responsible as a gazlan. Itma. Now we're going to see a sugya and see how it's connected to our Gemara Be'ezras Hashem. Shliach sha'asoi be'edim. What does that mean? Says Rashi, Reuven shesh lo be'ad Shimon. Reuven has money in the hands of Shimon. Reuven lent money to Shimon or deposited in Shimon. The Kitzer, Shimon has some money of Reuven in his hands. Says Shimon, says Reuven. Reuven says, I want to get my money from Shimon. So Reuven took a shliach, a nice delivery guy, and he said to the shliach, doesn't have to deliver guy, I'm joking, a shliach, and he said in front of Edim, you be my shliach to receive the money from Shimon, who holds my money. Okay. Rav Chizda said, have a shliach. Rav Chizda said, that's called a shliach, which means what? What do you mean it's called a shliach? It means that once Shimon, who holds the money, gave it to the hands of the shliach of Reuven, he can sigh a sigh of relief and drink his coffee and be happy and say, I handed it to the shliach. What is the shliach called? Yada arichta. What's yada arichta in English? The long arm. The long arm of who? Of Reuven, who is the recipient of the money. I gave it to him. It's like giving to the bank account. Okay. So then what? Yeah. Rabbi Omar lo avi shliach. Rabbi says no, it's not a shliach. Just because he nominated the person and says be'edim yibi shliach, he's not a shliach. Why? Let's see both ways. And therefore, according to Rabbi, by the way, what's going to be? Once Shimon, who's supposed to return the money to Reuven, put it in the hands of Mr. Shliach, he's not yet exempt. It's not over till it's over, until it actually reached the hands of Reuven, the recipient. Remember, Reuven, recipient. Rav Chizda Omar Avi Shliach. Why did Rav Chizda say what he said, that he's called a Shliach? Achi Tarchi, Hukme Be'edim. That's why the person was Torech, took the extra effort. The person, Reuven, he nominated the Shliach, the Ukme Be'edim. He appointed him in front of Edim. Two Edim is a very important thing. The Leiku Bilshusei, so they should be considered in his Rashus, meaning, so the money should be standing in his Rashus. Meaning, once the money will be in the hands of the Shliach, that's it. The Shliach is like an authority, like an embassy of Mr. Reuven. That's what he made Edim for. Rabba Omar. Rabba argues and says, no, Lo avi Shliach. Why not? Hachika Omar. That's how we interpret the thought of Reuven, the recipient, who made the shliach. Inish meimnahu. When he made be'edim, he's stating and telling Shimon, the one who has to return the money, listen, he's a trustworthy guy. I trust him. Doesn't mean I make him my halachic shliach. I trust him not to steal the money, not to make something funny, not to lose it in the duty free. Hisamach smoich. If you rely on him, you can rely on him as far as I'm concerned. Which means I'm okay with you giving to him. What I'm trying to say is, if you get the message of the Gemara, yeah, let's say I lent money to someone, 3,000 shekels, yeah, didn't return them to me yet, and then he puts it where, in the middle of the windy day, he puts it on the on the fence in the middle of the street. That's not called returning, right? So basically, not even technically. So what the guy is saying here, Reuven, the recipient, says, listen, that's a good guy, technically speaking, not halachically. If you want to give it through him, that's a trustworthy delivery courier service. But it does not mean, according to Rabbah, that he's a shliach, which means that once the money is in his hands, boom, then it's considered, that's it. Now Reuven already got it. He's Reuven's arm. No, it doesn't mean that. That's machlokes between Rav Chizda and Rabbah. Let's just repeat for 1 second. Rav Chizda says shliach beidim is a shliach. Rabbah says he's not a shliach. Goyim would call it shliach. He's a technical messenger, technical courier. He's not a halachic shliach, which means, yeah, he's not the financial authority of the meshalech. It's not yet over till it gets to the end of the meshalech. Tnan, let's see a Mishnah and see how Rabbah and Rav Chizda relate to the Mishnah. A shoyel saporo. That can be quite confusing, but it's not. It's easy. What? A shoyel saporo doesn't mean he asks the question from the cow. No, he doesn't talk to cows. The guy is not loony. A shoyel, the guy wants to borrow a cow, right? We borrow cows every day. We need to plow our field, right? Yeah, can I borrow your cow? Yeah, okay, says thank you. A shoyel saporo. A person wants to, that's confusing. He didn't yet do it. He wants to borrow a cow from his friend. Now, the friend, the cow owner, who's very nice and generous, wants to lend his cow. The cow owner sent it, biad bnoi, biad avdoi, biad shluchoi. He sent it with the hands of his son or his slave or his shliach, stami guy. Yeah, in other words, again, let's say Reuven is the owner of the cow, and the cow he's on its way to Shimon, the borrower. Oi, or let's say he sent it biad bnoi, biad avdoi, biad shluchoi shel shoyel. Let's say the cow was now handed over to the hands of the shaliach of the borrower. You understand what's going on here? Either shlichim from this side, from the lender, or shlichim from the borrower side. Umeisa, on its way from point A to B, from Reuven to Shimon, the cow died. The cow died. Yeah, the cow died. He died. Now, if a cow dies, is a shoyel chayiv be'oinsim? Yes. A shoyel is chayiv generally. You're looking at the Gemara Potter. You know, is Potter Yosef? You know why? Because it's not yet considered in the hands of the shoyel. The shoyel would say, true that there was shliach, but although it was the hands of my shliach, it wasn't yet by me. Did you hear that? Excuse me. What? Did you hear that? The shoyel says, I would punch him in the face. Listen to what the shoyel says. Well, I did send you a shliach, and it got to the hands of my shliach, but it wasn't yet in my hands. Therefore, my term of responsibility didn't yet start. So he died before it even reached my hands. Says the Gemara, what? How are you? What exactly is the story of this shliach? The shliach brought by who? By the shoyel, by Shimon the shoyel. Shimon the shoyel. He's the one who sent the shliach to accept, to receive shliach Kabbalah. What is this shliach all about? What's the story of the shliach? What? The first one is easy. Of course, we're not focusing on it. Shlomo message avada. The shliach of the meshaleach. Of course, if the cow died, then he's not chayiv. Needless to say, because that's a shliach of the giving party. The chiddush is, even though the askar skipped that stage, even the shoyel who sent his long arm to accept from the mashil, and the mashil gave it to the representative of the shoyel, and yet the shoyel can say, it didn't yet reach me. Therefore, I'm not yet chayiv. Here, something doesn't work right. So the Gemara is now working on it. Says the Gemara, Echidami, what's the story? Also be'edim, if he didn't do it be'edim, meaning if the shoyel never appointed edim to make him a shliach officially, minaya dinan, how do we know he's a shliach? Says Rashi, how does the Mishnah call him a shliach? Even us, the readers of the Gemara, how do we know he's a shliach? Or, Tosa says, how does he know to give it to his hands? Back then, there was no WhatsApp with pictures. You know, the once upon a time, there's no WhatsApp, children, yeah? So then, how do you know he's a shliach? A guy comes to my house and says, I'm the shliach of Mr. and so, give it to me. How do you know? There are no edim, no documents. Maybe he's a thief from the street. Ella must be the also be'edim. So we see that the shoyel created the shliach with edim, and yet viktani the potu. He says potu. So now, what do you see? Who's smiling now? Rabbah. Because Rabbah said, when I make shliach be'edim, I am not making a halachic shlichus. It's a technical shlichus. It's to deliver a boy on a bike. That's it. But Kashel Rav Chisda. Rav Chisda is in trouble. Why? Because Rav Chisda said that if I make shliach be'edim, then he becomes a halachic shliach to all purposes. He's a proper shliach. If it's a proper shliach, how can you have the chutzpah to say that I'm not chayiv? I gave it to the hands of your halachic shliach, which is like your hand. And that's very bad for Rav Chisda. Rabbi is happy, but Rav Chisda is not happy. Answers the Gemara. Rav Chisda is not giving up. To the Omar Rav Chisda, beschiroi velakitoi. Says Rav Chisda, schiroi velakitoi. What does that mean? Really, there were no edim. Shlichus without edim is worth nothing. You're asking me, what? If there are no edim, a guy would come to me tomorrow and says, I have a shlich from Jeff, and a shlich from Jeff tells me to give Jeff $1,000. I'm not Jeff, anybody here, to give you a place to sport. I don't know. Ma kesher, how do you know he's your shliach? and Jeff doesn't answer the phone. How would I know? Elamai, we're talking here about a guy who is either his worker or he's a guy that he collected from the street, the guy that he's raising as a son, and therefore, here also which means really there are no edim. The reason why the shlichus is not a lachic shlichus is really because there are no edim. Shlichus without edim, everybody agrees, both Rav Chizda and Rabbah, that it's not a shlichus. You're asking, how do you recognize the guy? Because he says, look, I have a document. I'm known to be his sachir, his worker. Look, it says ReuvenCowbower.com on his name tag, and you can see the ID. You know, it's a side question, but you know he's a shliach. Really, there's no edus. But there had been edus, he would be chayiv right from the start. Because shliach without edus, then it's not called as if it's in the hands of the shoyel yet, till it comes to his hands really. Tanan. And now again the same question, but now from our own Mishnah. Now we're finally connecting the sugya to our very own Mishnah. Line starts with the word velakitoi, and then the second word is tnan. Tnan, it says in our Mishnah, if I'm a ganev chalila and I'm chayev after false things and that I'm chayev chomish b'osham, I cannot give the 1,000 shekels to the son or the shliach of the guy who's currently spending time in South Korea. He says he cannot give it to the hands of the shliach. What's the story exactly of the shliach? We assume that the shliach was made by who? By the recipient, by the nigzal. Okay. If the shliach comes and knocks on your door and says, hello, my name is Chum Chum Chum, but I'm Jewish, and I'm the shliach from your victim of Zela, who's now in Korea, and now give me the money. How do you know? If there are no edim with a star, with other edim in the area that can testify, there's no testifying. How do you know? Maybe he's a downright thief. You have to be 3 years old to believe that. Elalav dasab edim must be what? That really Mr. Nigzal victim did make him a proper shliach with edim. Oh, and yet now he's a long arm. So as much as we're machmir, you have to go to Modai. Modai came to you. Modai came to you. If really made him shliach be'edim and he's a proper shliach, that's a transfer in a bank account. That's it. It hit the ground. It did it. It should be like that according to Rav Chizda. And according to Rabbi, he's not a shliach. But Rav Chizda is in trouble. Oh, does Rav Chizda know? Like we said before, really there are no edim. Wow, which means a big chiddush here. Really, if the shliach would have been a good shliach with edim, he would have halachic status of shlichus. And therefore, what? Really, if you put it in his own hands, you're done and finished. Good. I put it in the hands of the shliach of the nigzal. It's like in the nigzal's own pocket. Good. Over here, there are no edim. So how do you know it's his? He sent you a WhatsApp saying, this is my worker. You recognize him as the worker of the good friend, everybody knows, of Mr. Nigzal, then it's good. Reg the Gemara, wait a second. Oh, now the Gemara still is not so happy. There's a few points here which we still have to tweak. Aval continues the Gemara, the logic, and building up a question. Aval shliach shaso be'edim mai. According to what you're saying, let's say the shliach was a proper shliach with edim, right? According to your Rav Chizda, as I just pointed out to you and I just described to you, if Enochinami, Mr. Victim recipient who wants to get back his money, but he's currently in Vietnam, then what? If he sends a good shliach with edim, it would be good shlichus. And then everything is good and fine and hunky-dory. And I can go home, bring my osham, and do everything good. If so, tricky, comes a question. Remember what the Seifa says? The Seifa says something interesting, which we discussed before. Shliach Bezdin. It very clearly looked like, that the only solution, if you want to stay at the comfort of your city and you really can't afford going to Thailand, you can give it to a Shliach Bezdin. Go to the local Bezdin, give it to a person of Bezdin who you are going to send to Thailand somehow, or he's going anyways, or you sent him, we're going to discuss it later. Lamais, you give it to a messenger of Bezdin, and he's going to go there. And that's the only solution. Frankly, more why? It's not the only solution. liflog v'litni b'didei. The Gemara, the Mishnah should have, you know the concept of liflog v'litni b'didei. If you have a small difference between A and B, why do you have to go to C? Tell me about the small differences within shliach of the person. Why you're running away to a new institution called shliach beis din, which is somebody more formal, more trusted by the system? Why can't you talk about the personal shliach of the nigzal and be mechalik like you told me? Look what it's going to look like. Shliach shaso be'edim. Look in the Bach explains. Bamed v'om amurim b'shliach shelo so be'edim. Aval shliach shaso be'edim machinami davi shliach. The Mishnah should have said like this. Don't talk about shliach beis din. Talk about who? Talk about the shliach made by Mr. Nigzal. And the Mishnah should have said shliach with edim is good. Shliach without edim is not good. Why do you have to run away all the way there to the other corner and talk about a whole new reality of shliach beis din? Amri. So they answer and they say like this: Loi psikale, loi psikale. The reason why we didn't talk about a shliach of a personal shliach. Let's imagine there are two types of shlichim. There's a personal shliach between the nigzal and gazlan without involving beis din, and there's a formal shliach which has some kind of halachic authority, shliach beis din. The Mishnah seemed to be saying that the only good one, shliach beis din, the official one with the badat stempel. Frag the Gemara, I'm just repeating the question so you understand the answer. The Gemara said, why? According to Rav Chizda, why? Even a personal shliach can be good. Why do you involve beis din in everything? You want to live in beis din all your life? Why beis din? Say pashut. If it's a shliach that came from who? With edim, then is a good one. Shliach without edim is not a good one. And it says the Gemara, loy psikale. Loy psikale means it's not the same rule all over the place. It's not the same smooth, homogenic statement all along. And the Gemara is going to explain. Shliach beis din, when you talk about shliach beis din, then it's a much easier, clear, that's a word in English, clear cut. Shliach beis din is clear cut. Losh naso nigzal, losh naso gazlan, avi shliach. That is very good, psikale, which means a shliach beis din is clear. Whether the shliach of beis din is appointed by the nigzal or the gazlan, either way, then it's a good shliach. If I placed it in the hands of shliach beis din, either he was appointed by the victim or by the aggressor, he's a good one. Why? Because beis din trusts him. He's a good one. He's considered as chazorah. I put it in his hands, I can go to sleep. Shliach shaso be'edim, yeah. But shliach made by edim, then it's a question. If it's a personal shliach, that's a question already. The chiaso nigzal huda v'shliach. If the nigzal, if the victim who wants to receive the money, he made the shliach with edim, Rav Chizda says that's a good shliach. If I have two edim and I'm the ganev, and comes a guy at the door, knocks on the door with two edim that I know or documents, whatever, and they say, yeah, he's an echanami. That's a good shliach. Put in his hands, and you're relieved of the sin. But so gazlan lo havishliach. Therefore lo psikale. Wow. However, if the shliach, which is private, not made by beis din, and the gazlan is the one who appointed him, in other words, let's say I'm the gazlan, chas v'shalom, and I have my friend, and I'm a good guy now. I really want to do teshuva, and I sent a shliach myself that I appointed, and he's on his way to Thailand. Was I yoitze already? No, I'm not yoitze yet. Why? Because it didn't reach the hands of the guy. Obviously, if the guy, the nigzal, the victim, sent his shliach from Vietnam, and now he's knocking on my door, and he's really a long arm because of his believes he is the seder. That's a good shliach. Baldig. I put it in his hands. It's as if I put it in the bank account. Very good. Enough. Genig. Masha'en can. If it's a shliach private one from the Gazlan side, my arm can be very, very, very long, flying all the way to Thailand. But until my arm doesn't reach his pocket, nothing happened. Masha'en can shliach. So why didn't we talk about it? I'll tell you why. Because we wanted to talk about something clear cut. And the shliach beis din is always good. Shliach beis din, even appointed by the Gazlan, is a good shliach. Because shliach beis din has a class of his own. Honestly, I don't know exactly why shliach beis din has that status, but generally we understand he's more choshuv, more official, more formal, more trusted, more something. What? They checked him out. So when I give it even as the gazlan to the hands of the shliach beis din, then I'm already absolved and I'm good. However, that's not so simple. That is yes, and that's a point of dispute. What we just said excludes and argues on the opinion of the other Tanya. The Tanya, Rabbi Shimon ben Elazar, Rabbi Shimon Elazar, he was the grandson of Rabbi Shimon bar Yochai. He was Baal Tshuva. He was off the derech, then came back. Oh, very juicy story. Rabbi Shimon Elazar, I don't want to tell you his profession. Rabbi Shimon Elazar Omer, Shliach Beis Din Sha'asa Nigzal, says like this: a Shliach Beis Din that was appointed by the Nigzal, which is our question here. Sorry. The Shliach Beis Din made by the Nigzal is of course good. The victim's Shliach is always good, because once you put it in his hands, I'm good. The law is soy gazlan, but the gazlan didn't do it. That's good. Oy, or a soy gazlan, the sholach halav v'notel shalom yodu potu, which means if the shliach was made by the gazlan, then it's not good enough. It's only good in sholach halav v'notel shalom yodu. Only once the nigzal will take it from the hands of the shliach made by the gazlan, only then it's good. Which means just to put it in the hands of my shliach as a gazlan, that's not good enough. You didn't reach anything. However, Rabbi Yochanan Rabbi Lozo, the Amri Tarvayu, Shliach Shasa Beidim, Havi Shliach. Rabbi Yochanan Rabbi Lozo, both of them say a shliach made by Eidim is a shliach. I want to now continue tomorrow, even though we're almost finishing, but no, I would like to finish here because I don't have it clear from now on. We'll repeat a little bit the thing of shliach Beis. Not tomorrow. What's tomorrow? No, Sunday. Sunday, Mirza Hashem. See you before Sunday and Sunday in the Shiur. Thank you very much. Atzloch Rabba, and have a good fiery Lag BaOmer. Thank you, Kol Tuv.